In this problem, we're going to journalize sales transactions. So the problem we're using is S5-4. It's on page 330 of your textbook. So I'm going to read you the transactions, but you can certainly follow along in your textbook. On July 1st, Tomas sold $61,000 of women's sportswear on account, and the credit terms given were 2% in 10 days or net 45. So if the customer pays in 10 days, they can take a 2% cash discount, or they can pay the entire balance within 45 days. And the cost of goods sold is going to be $32,000. On July 5th, Tomas received a $2,000 sales return on damaged goods from the customer, and the cost of the goods damaged was $1,050. And then on July 10th, Tomas receives payment from the customer on the amount due, less the return and discount. Okay? So, let's go ahead and journalize these transactions. Our first transaction happens on July 1st. We sell goods worth $61,000 on account. Okay. So just to clarify, the sale price of the goods is $61,000. So we're going to debit accounts receivable, because we're selling them on credit terms. And we're going to debit $61,000. And we've earned some revenue, so we're going to credit sales revenue or merchandise revenue or some sort of revenue account for $61,000. Okay, so that takes care of the sales side of the transaction, but we also have to record the fact that we've given up some inventory. So we're going to do that by debiting cost of goods sold for the cost of the merchandise, which was $32,000. And then we have to deduct it from our inventory, so we're going to credit inventory for $32,000. Okay, so for a merchandise operation, when we have a sale of goods, we have two journal transactions we have to make. One for the sale of the goods and one for deducting them from inventory and adding the cost to cost of goods sold. On July 5th, Tomas receives a $2,000 sales return on the original damaged goods from the customer, and the cost of the goods damaged is $1,050. Okay, so we need to now debit sales returns and allowances. This is going to be a contra revenue account. Now technically, if we wanted to, we could debit sales directly, but then we wouldn't be able to track our returns and allowances. So this gives us a little bit more detail if we put our sales returns and allowances into a separate account. So we're going to debit sales returns and allowances for $2,000 and credit accounts receivable for $2,000. And then we need to add the goods back to our inventory at cost. So we're going to debit inventory for the cost of the goods, which was $10.50, and deduct that amount from our cost of goods sold because the inventory is coming back. So we credit cost of goods sold for $10.50. And then finally, on July 10th, Tomas receives payment from the customer on the amount due less the return in discount. Okay, so now we need to calculate, we need to find out how much the customer owes. So let's do that. We can examine our T account. For accounts receivable, we initially debited the account for $61,000. That was the original sale. Customer returned $2,000. So we're going to have a balance in accounts receivable of $59,000. But the customer is paying within the cash discount period, so they're going to pay us the amount they owe less the cash discount. And the cash discount was 2%, so $59,000 times 2% equals a cash discount of $1,180. So the cash we're going to receive is $59,000 minus $1,180 is equal to $57,820. Okay, so we know how much we have to take out of accounts receivable, we know what our cash discount is, and we know how much cash we're going to receive. So that's all the information we need to know to make our journal entry. So going back to our journal entry, payment is occurring on July 10th. We're going to debit cash for the amount of cash we're receiving, which is the $57,820. We're going to credit sales discounts for the amount of, we're going to debit sales discounts. So let's just start this over. So debit to cash for $57,820 and a debit to sales discounts for the $1,180. Because just like sales returns and allowances, sales discounts is a contra revenue account. So whenever we accept a discount, a cash discount, we have to debit sales discounts. And then we're going to credit accounts receivable for the $59,000 that's left in the balance. Right. So that is how you journalize sales transactions. I'll post the answer for, I believe it's S5-5. It's a little bit longer problem here. It's a problem where you journalize both the purchase side and the sales side of these transactions. And so you can attempt the problem on your own and then check the answer key and see how you've done. Hopefully these videos have been a little bit helpful for you.